Greetings everyone and welcome back to another video. Strap yourselves in, replicate a cup of Ractigino, and prepare yourselves because we're going to get in it. I have a script written today, so it's not just going to be mindlessly ranting for the whole time. So I'm getting ready to start the script here, so here we go. Okay, this is going to be a bit of a rant. I have a lot to say and it's been building for a while. And this announcement was the straw that broke the camel's back and made me decide to do a whole video talking about the game. If you don't know what's going on, Cryptic just posted this blog post about a buyout option for the reputation system. And I want to get a few things out of the way up front. The reputation system itself is great. In fact, it's one of the best parts of the game, and probably the very best thing free-to-play players have access to. I'm a big proponent of leveling up your reputations. You get access to top-end gear, consoles, traits, fleet ship modules, train tokens, all kinds of stuff. And I'm also okay with buyouts in general when it comes to limited time events. And I use them myself occasionally. I bought some of the Event 2 events out this time because I just didn't have time to do it. So what's the problem? Well, there are two problems, and they're intermingled. First is the price, and second is the pattern of behavior from Cryptic and their just overall incompetence, and this just exemplifies that, and why this is bad for the game, and why we should speak out about it. This new reputation system buyout is so outrageously priced that I thought it was a typo, and that wouldn't be uncommon because they have lots of typos. Not only is it for a single character, for a single reputation, but it only takes you to Tier 5. And what do you have to pay for this? 3,000 Zen, or $30 retail. There are currently 13 reputations in the game. If you wanted to start a new character and buy out all their reps to Tier 5, it would cost you $390. Almost twice what the Legendary Bundle costs, and more than the Legendary Bundle and the Gamma Vanguard pack combined. What the fuck were they thinking? It doesn't even remove the rep grind either, because you still have to get the rest of the way to Tier 6 on your own, where many of the goodies are, including the fleet ship modules, retrain tokens, and upgraded rep traits. There has been some confusion about this on Reddit, so let me break it down. To get to Tier 5 without sponsorship, you need 100,000 rep at 2,500 per daily, which takes 40 days. Once you hit Tier 5 with any character, you and all your other characters become sponsored, and you start getting 5,000 rep per daily. If you're sponsored, getting to Tier 5 only takes 20 days. Getting to Tier 6 from Tier 5 always takes 30 days because you need an additional 150,000 rep. So, depending on whether you're sponsored or not, the buyout will either give you 57% or 40% completion. Either way, you're only getting, at best, 57% of the total required to get you to Tier 6. Now, you do get a prorated price for having it partially completed, and you don't have to buy it. They're not changing the way it works normally, so you could just ignore all this crap. So why complain, even if the price is ludicrous? Well, to get straight to the point, you can't just look at one thing like this in isolation, because anything could just be an anomaly, and people are usually forgiving of anomalies. But when it becomes a pattern of behavior, then it becomes a problem. I want you to imagine a game. This game is buggy, lacking in content, bloated with microtransactions and gambling. It tries to sell outrageously priced fluff to its whales. It has horrible customer service interactions. It engages in false advertising. And it's generally just a shell of its former self. That's right, if you guessed Fallout 76, give yourself a pat on the back. Of course, all of that applies to Star Trek Online right now too. The difference is that we're too small for anyone to care about. Fallout 76 was eviscerated in the gaming sphere for over a year for their sheer incompetence and greed. People often asked, including myself, how can anyone play that game? How can they enjoy that garbage? And I'm sure the people who actually enjoy Fallout 76 feel ashamed. And frankly, it's getting to that point for me. Seeing things like this, even if it doesn't affect me and I can just ignore it, makes me ashamed to be associated with this game. The only saving grace is that no one's paying attention, which is part of the reason why they keep getting away with it. If the greed and incompetence surrounding this game in its current state were as common knowledge the way it is with Fallout 76, I wouldn't want to be associated with it, because I'd look like a fucking moron. There's a difference, though. Fallout 76 was never good because it was built from the ground up as a money-making scam. At least Star Trek Online still has a good game inside of it, left over from a time when publishers and producers actually gave a damn about making this a good game. The story content is fantastic, especially the DS9 and Iconian stuff. The game can look quite beautiful at times. I love the intricate and complex build system, and I haven't grown tired of the space combat even after 7 years. It's also true that the story content I just mentioned is completely free to enjoy, and I've proved earlier this year that for free-to-play, in my free-to-play series, that you can get a very strong build for free. So, if I really believed this game was bad, I wouldn't play it. I like this game so much, I make videos about it. However, that's not how it appears to anyone from the outside. This is a good game, but it's not the product of the people in charge of it now. What's good about it is what's left over. And they're doing everything they can to turn this into Fallout 76. You may have noticed that I haven't mentioned the developers yet. You know, the little guys, the art people, the systems people, the coders, the bureaucrats, the people, the grunts, the people doing the day-to-day work. Well, I believe a lot of them are treated poorly. They're probably overworked and underpaid. They probably care about the game and Star Trek. And they're probably being exploited because that's just common in this industry, and especially from sleazy games like this one has turned into, or turning into. But they do good work, and I don't want to slander them without, I don't think that's fair. I think it's the people in charge who are really to blame. And it must be disheartening for them to work so hard on things that most people aren't going to use because it gets priced only for the whales. They don't even pretend to care about anyone playing this game except for the dumbest, most addicted, most gullible players. I've always accepted that a low player base for this game means that we're going to have a sort of rural tax. You know, like people who live in rural areas have to pay higher property taxes and stuff. The prices are going to be a little higher because they don't have millions of people buying, so they still have to cover operating costs. It's going to be a higher percentage of their expenses. So that's why I've never balked too much at a $30 ship. I can even understand $200 for the Legendary Bundle, though I was mad about that too, because this makes the Legendary Bundle look like a fucking charity event. You know, you could go into that thinking, well, I'm getting 10 great ships and they're going to last me forever, and that's my big purchase. But they don't want you to think that way, right? They want you to spend $200 and then forget about it a month later so you can buy a lockbox ship, and then forget about that a month later so you can buy a fucking promo ship. And it's just constant FOMO over and over again. And they just keep milking and milking at higher prices. And, you can accept it, you can ignore it, you can pick and choose and just say, well, something lockbox ship comes out, I'm just going to pass and I'm not going to get it. Just wait for the next thing. But this is just so fucking greedy that I have to call it out. You know, the idea that they would take $390 from someone to give them tier 5 reps is just disgusting to me. Right? There's this myth that whales are just people with disposable income, right? It's the 1%ers who are gamers and they can just piss money away, right? And while there surely are some of those people, the reality is that's just a lie put out by the gaming industry because they don't want you to know that most whales are people who can't afford it. They don't have the money for it, but they've been manipulated by shady business practices and psychological tricks, and they just don't have the willpower to resist it. And I think anyone who would buy this reputation buyout, even if they can afford it and it's nothing to them, I mean, you're still being taken advantage of. And I think it's just wrong. I mean, this is Ferengi economics at its finest. This is the worst parts of capitalism showing its ugly head. And the business practices that Cryptic engages in are as bad as any we've seen in the game industry from any company. And I don't think that we should be silent about it. How many times are we just going to ignore this while we watch the game die? You know? So, yeah, it's a bit of a downer. Thanks for watching, you guys. It's another sad episode of Star Trek 76. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.